episode of Sewtopia and Friends. I'm Amy Newbold, founder of Sewtopia, and there's Megan Callahan. She is my Burt to Ernie.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I'm definitely Burt.
And I'm definitely Ernie. We wanted to start a video chat show and check in with our friends in the sewing community and hopefully give everyone that's staying at home a little entertainment. So this week we have Jacquie Gering.
A little bit about Jacquie. We're hanging out today with Jacquie Gering, and she's the maven of walking foot quilting. And Jacquie is a passionate quilt maker and designer. She is the co-founder and former president of the Kansas City Modern Quilt Guild, as well as the former president of the National Modern Quilt Guild and board. And her work has been featured in both national and international publications, and she has authored several books, and her most recent being Walk 2.0.
Yay! Megan, we need to put on the Amazon list an applause.
Oh, no, I have one of those. I need to get it.
Yeah, an applause and maybe a laugh track.
No, it's all in there.
Okay.
It just may need fresh battery. It's my kid's one. I just have to make sure not to hit the fart button. That one's very inappropriate. I almost want to ask him for it real quick.
Oh yeah, you should go get it.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, Jacquie, while Megan is going to get that.
Thank you for that introduction.
I know, we do our homework here. Well, the first question that I'm going to ask you is, what is your quarantine? We ask each guest what their quarantine cocktail or drink of choice is. And then I try to also match, and we have kind of an afternoon of drinking. So I would ask you, what is your quarantine cocktail?
So a lot of people know that I'm not much of a drinker. Like one margarita puts me under the table. So I'm not much of a drinker, but I love coffee. And so I make myself a double espresso. And then, because double espresso, there's just not very much liquid in there. And then I add this.
Okay. So I went, and our international friends are going to love this because, so Jacquie pulls her bottle of Kahlua out and I pull mine, which is this tiny bottle, and Jackie's is bigger than her head. So, so
that goes on for a while.
And then Jacquie, how much do you put in?
Bigger is better. So I fill up the rest of my cup.
Wow.
I fill up the rest of my cup with my Kahlua.
That's
so
like varsity
I have a
status
tiny bit
right
of,
there.
It's a tiny bit of coffee and a lot of Kahlua. But I also have options. So this is a coffee liqueur also, but it's made by a local company called Rieger with local coffee company called Valmaist. And this one is whiskey based.
Ooh.
So there you go.
Definitely more Irish there.
It's only for special occasions.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm getting my cocktail ready. So we'll shoot off to the first question. How are you doing with the current stay-at-home order? And I would be curious what your current stay-at-home order is, because right now when we're interviewing you, it is the end of April. And so I know Georgia's stay-at-home order is kind of lifted. I know you're not in Georgia, but I would be curious what your stay-at-home order is and how you're doing with that.
So we kind of operate, I live in Kansas, but I only live a mile from Missouri. So we kind of have to monitor both Kansas and Missouri stay-at-home orders. And we're on lockdown through May 15th right now. And our mayor in Kansas City, Missouri just put out a kind of opening plan for the city of Kansas City, Missouri. And so we're kind of trying to monitor all of those areas. Very honestly, I'm staying home. I consider myself really lucky that I have my studio right here with me. And I'm looking through a big sliding glass door and actually a wall of windows. I'm looking outside at my Japanese maple trees and my red buds and green and my patio. So I'm pretty lucky.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Do you have a guest room? For friends who have also been quarantining want to stop by.
So Megan, I'm just going to tell you, this is a 3-bedroom house, and we have a bedroom for Steve and I. He has an office, and I have a studio, and guests will stay in a lovely Airbnb somewhere else.
I love it. But they're invited over for special coffee.
People over, but I'd rather have them come over and enjoy the house and us and have fun, and then I want to send them home to sleep somewhere else.
Yep. Hey, makes sense.
Good. That's very good. So wait, have you been out at all? Like, have you been like hiking, biking?
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So I walk the dog 3 times a day, and walk around the neighborhood and things. Let me tell you, my eyes are like red because pollen is everywhere. Everything in Kansas City is blooming right now. Mm-hmm. All the trees, all the flowers. It's absolutely beautiful. Last week we have a absolutely amazing park called Loose Park over in Kansas City, Missouri. That's gigantic. It contains our zoo and an outdoor theater and all sorts of, huge land. And Steve and Sideways and I went out to Loose Park, and I think we saw probably, 10 people total in the park. Good. Mm-hmm. So it was really empty, and we saw some people flying these really amazing kind of complicated kites, and we just kind of enjoyed being outside. So yeah, we spend time outside, and we get out. Honestly, my husband does the grunt work of the grocery shopping. Mm-hmm. Because I hate it.
Hey, yeah.
And so he does, but we haven't been, anywhere where there's really a lot of people where we can't social distance or be responsible.
Good. That's good. That's really good. Okay, so this is a good question because I see like a beautiful quilt in the background. Where do you get your inspiration? Like
your design inspiration.
Or your house inspiration. Oh my gosh.
Well, let's stick with one subject.
I know.
We'll get to the mid-century stuff later.
Let's talk quilting for inspiration first. So inspiration, it seems really cliche to say inspiration is everywhere, but I really kind of think it is. And I think for me, over the years, I've taught myself to really notice things and think about things. And a lot of time for me, a quilt starts with a concept. And honestly, the concept for the quilt behind me was groovy and goofy and fun and bright and happy. I wanted all those. That's what I was craving, and that's what I wanted. And I started drawing, and all of a sudden I found myself, I took some vintage polyester out of my closet that I've been saving, not sure why, something special. And I made 2 really funky tulip pillows out of this thick, weird, really garish vintage polyester for my outdoor patio here. And that got me thinking about the 60s and 70s and flower power and what my bedroom looked like as a kid. And that's where that came from. So inspiration is just kind of everywhere. But almost all my quilts start with some kind of concept.
Okay. Have you ever had like an inspiration block? And then like, how do you work past that?
So I've done a lot of reading and studying and talking with my son, who my youngest is a composer. He writes and does a lot of music production, and he's a really creative kid. And we have a lot of conversations about writer's block when it comes to music, creative block when it comes to me, and kind of how that affects us and how we work through it. And one of the things that I think he and I both do is that we get up in the morning and we work. So I think it's really important to show up, you know? And so whatever I do, if I don't know what I want to create, I just create something. I cut two pieces of fabric together. I play with lines, or a lot of people know that I design with craft foam. Are you all familiar with craft foam?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of nasty stuff that kids use. And it cuts beautifully, and it's really tactile. I don't love to be on the computer because I think it's really sterile designing on a computer. And I really believe that physical movement and activity and manipulation triggers something in my brain creatively. And so I either manipulate fabric or craft foam, or I sketch and draw, all of those kind of things. But when I don't know what I want to do, I come into the studio and do the work. I do something. And I may create nothing all day long, or I may create just like crap. But I'm totally good with that, because creating crap is creating. And that's what I do. And something always comes eventually. I don't believe in the whole inspiration strikes, you know, that it's this like magical thing. I think it comes from work. It comes from work, from actually doing the work.
Nice.
You told us a little bit about your design process, where you tend to sketch, or you tend to work tactically with craft foam. And you find computers a little sterile. Do you ever use computer programs when you're designing your quilts, or do you tend to just stick with sketching?
So computer programs are always the last part. Like if I want to resize something, or if I want to color something, well, so I have a bucket of colored pencils too. So I kind of start, you know, there. But the computer is always the last part. So the idea's already been created, and maybe I want to tweak it, or maybe I want to rotate it, or play with multiples, you know, where a computer does that pretty well. And, but it never, for me, it never starts there. I've gotten I've gotten better. I'm not good at it, but I've gotten better at Illustrator because I spent so many hours in airports. And you can't have craft foam, and you can't, you know, you can't have those kind of things. It's just harder. And so sitting on planes and in airports, I would play on Illustrator, but then I would always come back home where my materials are and kind of start tactically again. But the last step for me is the computer.
Okay. All right. So we've noticed that you transitioned to using mostly solids. Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Well, for me, I really like hard edges and clean lines, and solids are what gives you that, and especially flat solids. You know, when I want that kind of really stark, something to have graphic impact, solids give me that. I don't really have it. I don't have it. But like I just finished a COVID-19 quilt that I started, I don't know, probably 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
4 to 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, I started it 4 to 6 weeks ago. Because I was having all those feelings, you know, and it kind of came out in that design. The prints that I honestly choose to use are usually Yoshiko Jinsenzi's prints. They just have a really special kind of different feeling for me. And I have one cabinet kind of full of all of her prints. I've gotten rid of just about all my other prints because I just honestly, they blur lines for me. But there are some transformational prints that I use. You know, there are prints every once in a while. And it's funny when I post something that has a print in it, people are always like, prints. Oh, like I made a 7-pointed star with, and that was a wild hair. I was like, I haven't seen, you know, there aren't very many 7-pointed stars out there. in the quilt world. Not very many people make them. And so I thought, wouldn't it be fun to try that? And I thought, well, that 7-pointed star is really weird. And I have all this J. McCarroll fabric that is really weird. And so I thought, really weird J fabric and a really weird 7-point star, they just went together just perfectly. The background is solid, but that whole thing is prints.
Oh, wow.
So you have so you have a preferred print. Do you have a preferred like brand of solids that you like to use over another, or is a solid in your book?
You know, a solid isn't a solid. I think they're all really different. I'm using a lot of Paintbrush Studios Painter's Palette solids right now. So their solids kind of lay right in between for me. Like, I know people love Conan. I know. I know. But for me, it feels like sandpaper. The hand is just not lovely. And then there are other solids that are on the kind of slippery, shiny end. And I don't really like those either. I don't like that shiny look. And Painter's Palette falls kind of right in the middle for me. I also love cross weaves. You know, Cafes and Oak Shot and, well, all the cross weaves, because you just get that flat or that clean line of a solid, but you get this beautiful textural difference. So I really love those as well. I'm open to everything. I mean, I love linen. I love, you know, so yes and no. I guess is the answer to that.
So now we might have this might be the hardest and most contentious question of the bunch. Which would you choose? Using just your Bernina forever, but no walking foot, or a walking foot, but not a Bernina with any other machines forever?
Walking foot. Walking
foot forever?
Walking foot forever.
So that is not a hard question. That really, you know, if I've been playing with 3D printing my own walking foot.
What? Really?
Because I have so much experience with it, and I know exactly how I want that walking foot to operate, how I want it to be structured, how I want it to be marked. I think I could create the ultimate walking foot and then design the sewing machine around it. So that's not even a question. I cannot live without my walking foot. Can't.
Okay. All right.
Well, she answered that easier than we thought.
I know. I thought it was going to be like a little harder, but it wasn't. It wasn't at all.
Sorry,
surprised
think again.
So do you have a 3D printer?
I don't.
But playing around with three-dimensional concepts.
Well, so I host classes here in Kansas City. I should say events. They're not just classes. We have 3 and 4 day events that I do here in Kansas City that are really a lot of fun. And one of my students is kind of new in industrial designer, and she had part of that background, and we started talking about, because I talk about the features and teach about the features of the walking foot that make quilting easier for you. And so she thought, well, what would you put into she asked me, what would you put into the ultimate walking foot? And we started talking about it and emailing back and forth about it. And she was like, well, what about 3D printing? And she said, I know a guy. And it kind of exploded that way. And, you know, so I think it would be really interesting to start with the walking foot and then design the machine around it.
Yeah, that sounds fascinating.
And if any sewing machine manufacturers are out there and they are listening, please contact Jackie for walking foot ideas.
You know, I keep talking to manufacturers, but you know, I think all of our machines would be better if they would talk to us, the people that actually use them the most, and what features that we're really interested in instead of trying to guess. You know, I think not just me about the walking foot, but about a lot of features on the sewing machine and the way feet are designed. Yeah.
That's a whole like corporate technique. I think Toyota started using the lean technique, where they, instead of doing the ideas from the top down and having people who are actually constructing things, do things the way that they said, well, let's do it this way. They're like, let's start from here. And they're saying, well, it'd work best if we store this here versus here. And then they would pass it up, and then they would say, okay. And Starbucks tried that technique for a while as well, which did roll out a lot of new ideas, because they were actually going in the trenches and saying, okay, you guys make this better because you know what you're working with. And it's a whole new tactic and technique that I think a lot of companies would benefit trying out for sure. But that's this whole movement called
and
lean.
I've actually I've actually worn out 2 Bernina walking feet.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
And a friend of mine who works for Bernina sent them to, I think his name was Hans, and got an email back from Hans like, what does this woman do with these feet? And so he asked me to go on my machine and get the stitch count, because I don't piece on that machine, I only quilt on it. So the stitch count is quilting stitches, and pretty much all walking foot quilting stitches. And he was looking at the wear, and one of them I physically broke the metal actually snapped, and the other one just literally wore out. And so he was looking at the areas where and how I use it. And so it was, that's an interesting conversation to have. And then of course I'm ready to throw in, well, how about this?
Right.
So, but I think you're right, Megan. More of that could revolutionize the quilting and sewing machine industry.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like, tennis shoe manufacturers do that, where they have, like my college cross country team, some of them had shoe deals with people, essentially, where they would get free tennis shoes and they would run in them for a certain amount of time, and then they would send it back, and the shoe company would study it and how it was worn and everything, so they could make the shoe better, which I thought was a really good thing to do. I mean, just, check it out, see how it's been wearing, and what can we do to make it better. Good idea.
Exactly.
All right, so we have another question here. Tell us a little bit more about your mantra. It is made to walk, not run.
It's kind of self-explanatory,
It
don't
is.
you think?
It is, though.
So, I mean, walking feet. Go ahead.
Oh, I don't have anything. No.
So speed really can affect the whole quilting process.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in how much control that you have, while you're moving your quilt through the machine, and the stitch quality is affected. I mean, on my little brother Novell, it even says on the walking foot, do not use at full speed because you're going to break it.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is made for this walking motion.
Mm-hmm.
So I truly believe in walk, don't run. My studio mate, when we had a studio together, Kim Eichler Messmer, she came into my studio one time I was quilting in. She kind of had this little incredulous voice and said, "You really do go slow." Kim is a speed demon, and I said, "So Kim, you could learn something from me." But I seriously do go slow.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, and I do know those walking feet, you can't go too fast with them, because I mean, literally, like a friend of mine, little shavings, she said, were coming out of hers, and it was because she was going too fast with it.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I did not know that about walking feet.
Yeah, and especially on a big quilt, you really need to go slower to be able to manage and handle the weight and bulk of that quilt. I understand, like in class, we work on like 12 by 18 inch samples and 24 by 24, and they're lightweight and they're small, and your tendency is to go zzz, and I understand that. And that can work on something really small, but once you get some weight and bulk, and you have to really manage and work, speed is everything.
And I would say with the quilting process, I do think a lot of us tend to be a little on the impatient side when it comes to quilting. So
Me.
yeah, me too.
I am too.
Yeah. So I mean, but it's definitely controlling that. Do you want to ask her the next question? I have to let the dog out real quick.
Well, I was going to ask a follow-up question. So my first sewing machine was a Pfaff, and it had that walking foot already in that machine. So my question is, have you like tried a Pfaff, or you know what I mean? Like, because that walking foot would be engaged all the time. And it wasn't
right. So
go ahead.
So
sorry.
my 820, I have a Bernina 820, and it has a dual feed as well.
Okay.
So I have the option of using the dual feed or the walking foot for that machine. And when manufacturers essentially built in that walking foot, they would say to people buying, well, you don't need a walking foot because it's already built in and it's there for quilting. And what they didn't tell people is that when you put additional layers underneath that dual feed, you need to make adjustments to make sure that you actually have an even feed for quilting. Because, I mean, and think about starting with just 2 layers of cotton, right? Or it changes, like if you put a layer of cotton and a layer of corduroy, or 2 layers of corduroy, or a layer of cotton, a layer of warm and natural, and another layer of cotton. Changing it to wool batting, you're adding even more. And that's all about adjusting presser foot pressure. The walking foot or the dual feed doesn't automatically give you an even feed. So the key is really about getting an even feed and making the adjustments in your machine to give you that. And then you can start wherever you want, and you'll have an even feed. You don't have to worry about puckers or movement, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. So the next question is, what is your least favorite part of making a quilt?
Do you have like a step that you particularly dislike?
I can tell you mine already.
So I don't love basting.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I don't love it. Just because it's a hassle. I've tried to make it as easy as I can for myself. But if somebody would baste those for me, I'd be a happy camper. I'd get a whole lot more done. Those quilts in my closet wouldn't all be hanging there because I'm just like, I don't want to go baste. So basting is, yeah.
Do you pin based or spray based?
So I spray based.
Okay. Yeah, I
and
also
that's
do not
changed
like
over time. I started out pin basting and changed.
Yeah, basting sucks.
I have to say though that quilting is actually not my favorite either. Yeah, I would say that might be basting and the whole process of basting quilting. Now, obviously, I haven't taken a class from Jacquie, and I don't use my walking foot at all. So these are things that I could be open to changing my mind, but those are my least favorite.
And you know what, Megan? I'm gonna tell you. So the first half of the quilting is not my favorite. Starting it, and it's always, I always question, is this the right decision? Is this the right quilting design? Is this and I'm always, I don't know, still after all these years and all this experience, until I get halfway done, I haven't decided not to rip it out yet.
What?
So, wow. I'm not kidding. Once I get halfway there, I'm like, hey, look, that looks good. But I'm until I'm halfway, I'm always questioning it. And so that part is never my favorite.
It's like the rockiest point of the marriage between you and a quilt. I feel like is any time in that kind of quilting. And like for me, when I get to basting again, I'm like, oh, why did we ever fight? Let's stay together forever. Like, I feel like I've gone through this rocky relationship, and by the time I'm basting, we're all good, and I love it again. But I hate it for a while, for sure. Yeah.
I think we all go through that.
Yeah.
See, and I don't have problems with like picking fabric, cutting fabric, piecing it, But once it gets to the final like steps, I'm kind of like I lose steam or something, or or there's that self-doubt, or I just lose steam, to be honest.
Well, and that's why those pretty flowers are just hanging on my wall. So
Yep.
I love it. It's pretty, and it's kind of like in your mind it's done already, right? And I'm like, God, I got to take it down. I got to cut batting. I got to make a back. I have to baste it,
My quilt is up on the wall right there. You have yours behind me. I have one staring at me right there. It's done. Just sitting there.
It's really pretty. So I don't want to take it down. And So, yeah. Anyway, I think a lot of us get there.
Oh, I have a random question.
Okay.
Sure. Now that we're talking about walls, I did see a few months ago on Instagram, you posted how you put up these kind of like felt tile looking things. Is that your design wall, or do you pin stuff into it, or do they stick automatically? Because I'm in the market for a new design wall.
So they're called felt right tiles. And what I love about them, and I have to admit that clutter and all those it drives me. I like things that are neat and straight and nice. And and that's why I love those felt right tiles, because they're square and neat and beautiful. They're really easy. So the flowers are on those felt right tiles right now.
Okay.
And I think the design wall I have right there is 48 by 48. And so I bought just kind of minimal amount so I could test it out and see what I like or don't like about it. I have another design wall there on that side.
What? I just saw a little piece of that quilt design, and that was amazing.
We can talk about that next.
Shiny.
if you want. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Let me turn my phone off. Somebody is texting me. Anyway, so the disadvantage of the felt right tiles is that you can't just stick stuff to them like you can the design wall over here that's covered with flannel. I can just stick blocks to it. Don't have to pin. On the felt right, you have to pin.
Okay.
And so it's taken me a while to kind of get used to that, having to have my pins right there and pin stuff up. But when I take it down, it's like so nice and neat. You can also get grids built into the felt right tiles so that you can like square a quilt really easily, or kind of look and see if blocks are the same size. So I really like that. I have a much bigger design wall right here to my left. That's the normal foam insulation boards covered with flannel, and it gets dirty. The other thing about the felt right, I just take my lint roller and it cleans it just beautifully. It looks brand new. It is pricier than just buying these and covering it.
Then like a $13, $13 insulation foam.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then that's interesting though, because like I saw that and I was like, ooh, I like the neatness. I wish it would stick there naturally. That would be maybe too perfect, but it's an idea because
so what I'm going to try is spraying it with a little spray base and seeing if I can make it kind of tacky and see if things will stick. So I'm going to actually, I ordered the sample pack because it comes in really fun colors too. Mine's just white, which is boring, but it comes in really fun colors. So I'm going to try spraying those. I just haven't done it, and see if maybe that works, because it would be really nice if I could take a block and just stick it up there and not have to pin it.
Well, I still think it's pretty cool, the concept anyway. So now I'm going to have to look that up.
I know. I remember looking it up that day when I saw her posting those. So I was like, but I meant to ask you, how are those working? So I'm glad I got the chance.
Right. And so it's kind of, and I'm skipping ahead a little, but Jackie, your design on your house is amazing. Like, you're like a mid-century modern queen. And I just look at like the things that you're posting and I'm like, I want to go to there. I want to live there. And I'm like, so like,
you should come.
You can visit.
Wow. Yeah.
I can visit, but I can't stay, right? So
You can't sleep there unless you sleep on I guess you can sleep on the sofa, but
So as a queen of mid-century modern styling, what is your unicorn vintage item that you are dying to find?
Oh man. Oh my God. I mean, I have like a notebook full.
While you're thinking of yours, I will tell you mine. Okay. It is just super random. And I think you actually even have it in your house, but it's just one of those phones that are like on the wall, and they're like, it's just a phone, and it's just like a very creamy or like pink color or like green color. But I don't have a landline, but I am going to hang a phone just to have it there in my house.
So, I mean, there's so much, I'm not, so my house is going to be in a magazine in May, just because there were photographs out there, and it's called In Kansas City Magazine. And there were photographs out there of my house, and because of the lockdown, they couldn't get any photographs. So that's why they're putting it in there. But when she interviewed me and, looking at the pictures, she was asking me, so who's, designer made these? And I was like, IKEA. And what designer made this sofa? And I was like, thrift store. And what, and it's kind of a frou-frou magazine where they tout design and, all that kind of stuff. But I really believe that you don't have to pay, thousands and thousands of dollars to have a beautifully designed house. And I love to shop for bargains and, find things on the street. You all know Super Buzzy, right? Right? You all know Super Buzzy and
yeah.
Kelly, the owner of Super, Kelly. So she is like the dumpster diving mid-century queen. She and her husband have found all sorts of like amazing finds in Ventura, either on the street or in dumpsters. I want to be like her. But I would love a womb chair. I think that would be an amazing thing, but I can't afford it. So there's an amazing shop in Denmark, and I follow them on Instagram and on Facebook. And anyway, and I'm trying to think of the name of the shop right now. Dierstedt, I think. Oh my God, the lighting in that store. I would love a Werner Pantone rug. I mean, there are many things I would love, but it's fun to just go on First Dibs and oogle the things that are for sale that I can't afford. So, but I do a lot of vintage and bargain shopping in Kansas City at our big vintage market and estate sales and all that kind of stuff to kind of find the things that I love. And I think that's what a house should be about, is things that you love.
Nice.
Yeah, that's definitely my style. Eclectic. I just want a real piece of like Catherine Holm. Like I don't have any of that yet. Someday.
That's good.
But I want to find it in the wild. There's something about finding it in the wild.
Instead of just going like instant eBay or like just.
Oh yeah, no, I have no desire for that.
It's too expensive. I can't afford that. I mean, who can pay $250 for a fry pan? I mean, I can't do that. So I find my Catherine Holm out in the wild. My husband thinks I'm a nut. Like when I see that, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is $20. And he's like, what do you mean? So I've done a pretty good job over the years finding Catherine Holm. It's a lot harder to find now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like my husband with my vintage Pyrex. He's like, that crappy glass stuff that you get. And I was like, but he hand washes it at first. Like he does hand wash it all. He knows that that's a hand wash item. So,
nice.
He's accepted it.
So
just part of it.
so going back to the mid-century modern, do you watch shows that are set in mid-century era, like I would say Mad Men? Hunted is
So I can't watch Mad Men because I yell at the TV.
You do? You yell at the TV, meaning I want that?
No, I yell at the TV because they treat women so terribly, and I can't watch it. I love the sets. Maybe I should just watch it with the sound off.
Yeah. I think it's on Amazon, but I started watching while we're in quarantine, and it's kind of funny. But I started watching the Carol Burnett show, and that was pretty good.
Oh, I did too. I did too. And the outfits.
Yep.
Oh my God, the outfits. Oh my God, the clothes are amazing.
Yep.
Yeah. So we did watch Carol Burnett during quarantine.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's kind of funny. So I think another show that was set in mid-century is on Amazon. It's called, I think, Hunted. It's about Nazis versus Jews, but it has a ton of mid-century modern stuff in it, and I'm always
it's basically after the war. I haven't watched it, but after the war, they're hunting down old Nazi soldiers and giving them their just desserts, essentially, is what the show is based on. So it's, 50s, 60s.
Yeah,
right?
but the mid-century modern stuff in that, you're just like, OMG.
I take it to a nerdy level with this. I like to watch shows that inconsistently use props from the wrong era and point them out. So like I was watching a show that was based in the 20s or 30s, and they had a spring blossom Pyrex. And I was like, that wasn't even around yet. And so that's like stuff that I will look for.
That's funny.
That is funny. Okay, so that brings up to the next.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. So the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
Yeah.
So she has my dishes. I don't have her dishes. She has my dishes in her cabinet.
Well, now I have to go look up those dishes.
Oh, and I've only watched the first season. I've been kind of stacking up the seasons of the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel because it's a fabulous show. It's a great show.
Fabulous.
And that's a fun one to watch too. And I know like she has the one Pyrex casserole dish it's very present in like the first few episodes, and it's like the pink one with like the flowers on it. It's just really funny because she's like, I want my Pyrex dish back. It's like it's like a sub character of the first few episodes, but good show. That's a good one.
Pyrex is everything.
Yeah,
it is everything. So my next question, it kind of segues really good, is what are you currently obsessed with? It could be show, it could be sewing, it could be anything.
I'm obsessed with elimination of bamboo.
Whoa.
When we moved into this house, I didn't realize how terrible bamboo is in terms of how invasive it is. And we had a bamboo area in the back that it was probably 20 feet high and 15 years old. And it had spread from where they originally planted it about 10 feet past our fence into the neighbor's yard. And so I started eliminating that bamboo a year ago. And I've been working on it for a year. And I've been working with a nursery out of California that are bamboo experts, and sending them pictures and getting advice from them. And so in a year, I have totally eliminated the bamboo from my yard. If there's any like this, so I am the bamboo ninja. I have an axe.
Oh my God.
That, honest to God, I am going to buy a wood burning engraver, and I'm going to engrave Bamboo Ninja on my axe because I use that. And the guy at the store in California, I sent him pictures this spring, and he said, how old are you? And I told him, and he said, I don't know anyone that has done the kind of work that you've done over a year, and especially a 61-year-old woman by yourself. And I said, damn right. I am the bamboo ninja. And he totally agreed with me. So I'm obsessed with the elimination of bamboo. There are still bamboo shoots growing in my neighbor's yard behind me. And I go over there and I attack them and cut them down. And I've eliminated all the rhizomes. And there will be no bamboo in this neighborhood if I have anything to say about it.
Because you're like
it's like your own rage room, you know, like if you need to like take out your feelings, you just go take it out on the bamboo. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Apparently Jackie has a lot of rage.
Well, apparently like Jackie's like, if I see any bamboo that is growing within 30 to 40 feet of my house, it's going down. That is hilarious.
Just call me.
Just call me. She's like bringing over her. I want instead of like, you know, I would like a samurai sword. I would like some kind of samurai sword to come out and be like, whoosh, done.
I know, it's a whole like comic strip I have in my head now. Jackie with, you know, beating back the bamboo.
I know, and like some panda is screaming, like in like no.
So you just don't know how hard I worked and how proud I am of that area of my yard. That it's amazing.
That's a big undertaking. That's a big undertaking.
It's my biggest accomplishment in this house, honest to God. So
well, your house is amazing. So yeah.
And so
you know, we're doing a lot of work on the house, so it's gonna be even more amazing.
Oh, did you select tile? Did you figure out which tile you're going to do for the backsplash in the kitchen?
So I think I have. Yeah, I think I have. Yeah, I think I have.
Good. Yeah, those are all really good choices. So the penny tile was really cool, like the round.
Yeah. It's definitely going to be circular.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see my new kitchen. It may be a couple years, but you know, whatever.
Kitchen remodel.
But I'll have the design done.
Yeah. That's half of it right there. Just making the decision and then going with it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Megan. Sorry.
I was going to segue. Since we're talking about kitchens, what's your go-to comfort food? We're getting into the real serious, hard-hitting questions now.
Yeah. So it used to be mashed potatoes.
Good.
Yeah.
And
potatoes have been a
husband
very
makes
popular treat for go-to comfort food.
He makes a special kind of potato called lefse potatoes. And we make lefse potatoes twice a year when we make the Norwegian lefse. But lefse potatoes have especially more butter, more cream, and sugar. So they're about as bad for you as you could possibly get, but they're amazing.
That's my mother-in-law's
secret
not
to eat
ingredient.
Kind of things.
Is a little bit of sugar. That's her secret ingredient. So
really,
yes, even like in deviled eggs, a little bit of sugar. It's her secret ingredient.
Interesting. Yeah. Never put sugar in my.
Yeah, so that's my that would be my favorite comfort food.
Oh,
that sounds delicious.
Fries have been my comfort food. So any type of fries, even tater tots.
I think I missed fried food.
Donuts come in.
Yes, donuts. Like I miss fried food because it's not something I'm making at home, and we're not getting any takeout at all. We've only been cooking, and so fried food for me, even though I don't eat it very often, but that sounds like a donut. Yeah, I might kill some bamboo for a donut for sure.
now I'll like go and see bamboo, and I'll be like, "Is Jackie around?"
You better hide.
You better hide, bamboo.
There's plenty of bamboo in the world, you know, so I think it's okay.
It's so funny because Steve and I were going for a walk, and we were walking in this neighborhood, and there's this amazing mid-century house that I've always wanted to walk over and kind of peek in windows. So I'm a peeper too.
Oh,
you know, that time right at dusk when it's dark enough and people haven't pulled their shades yet.
I can just see Jackie walking around neighborhoods, peeking in windows and chopping down bamboo.
So we walked over to this mid-century house, and we walked around the corner, and on either side of the driveway, they had bamboo planted. And I told my husband, I said, I hate this house. I would never buy it because they had bamboo on both sides of the driveway.
I would say obsession and hatred is running strong against the bamboo.
It is. Yeah,
Totally. There's going to be somebody who's like bamboo gate, bamboo, team bamboo.
You wait. In the morning, I'm going to have an email from somebody telling me the benefits of bamboo.
You're like, it's fine. They can grow it someplace else.
I know, but hang on. Let me ask you this question. When you said bamboo, I was like, does she mean bamboo batting? Are you against bamboo batting?
No. As long as it's not grown near me. Totally good.
Bamboo as a reusable resource is wonderful because there's yarn made out of bamboo, different, obviously. It's just bamboo in the yard.
Flooring, all stuff. But bamboo in the yard, if you've never had it, it's literally like I just can't even tell you how terrible it is.
Yeah, it has runners
and it kills everything else
really far.
Yeah, the rhizomes are, and some of the rhizomes in my yard, I dug 2 feet down to get them out. So when I say I worked hard, I really did. So it can be a great renewable resource, you're right. But in your yard, no.
Yep.
Anti-bamboos. Please do not send hate mail to Jackie about said bamboo.
And don't send me a bamboo plant either.
He's gonna be like,
unless you don't like me.
Gasoline and instant burning is going to happen. That would be something funny. Okay, so we talked comfort food, but here's the craze that we've been noticing since people have been staying at home is making bread. Have you made bread?
So I have. So it's the one thing in the kitchen that I'm actually good at. Because I totally suck as a cook.
What kind of bread have you made, Jackie?
So the first bread I made were cinnamon rolls for my husband. Yeah. And then I made, it's like a sausage roll. But it's a yeast bread with pork sausage and onions inside. And so I made that. And I just made a quick loaf of wheat bread one day. And so baking, I'm really good at, and it's really easy for me. When it comes to actual like meal cooking, not so much.
Bread like is good though. My husband just made bread too, so he was just like really, really proud of himself. And I was like, "Oh, you can join the bandwagon. You have made bread."
Yep. It's if you have the yeast and you have the flour, you're good to go. Yep.
So it's funny because I couldn't get any yeast, and my oldest son's girlfriend contacted a commercial bakery in Connecticut and convinced them to sell her a pound of yeast. And so she shared yeast with me, which I really appreciated. And my son runs a grocery store, and he still couldn't get me yeast.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of bakeries. They've been selling flour and yeast commercially as well, like for pickup essentially, because they're not baking as much as they used to because they just don't have the walk-in customers. So might as well sell some of the product that would expire. Makes sense.
Well, and so our refrigerator blew up while I was at QuiltCon. Almost started the house on fire.
Oh, geez.
And so we've been living out of a mini fridge since then.
Oh no!
So,
fridges are the worst.
Thing. I took one of the outdoors. It's a tiny little fridge. It's just adorable, but that is what we've been surviving on for the last 6 weeks during the pandemic.
Oh no.
And people are always like, "Oh, I've got half a beef in my freezer," and I'm kind of like, "I have a loaf of bread in mine." It's because it's not big enough enough to hold a gallon of milk. It only holds a
Mhm.
quart.
Oh my goodness.
So,
Oh my gosh.
but we've been managing. Well, we didn't realize it, but our refrigerator is counter depth, and so they're pretty much special order,
Mhm.
and so we haven't been able to get it yet. And so we bought this little $200 fridge, and off we go.
Oh wow. Yeah, I've been without a fridge before. We our fridge broke down last summer, I guess. So we were without a fridge for a couple weeks and maybe longer. And it was just, yeah. And the refrigerator guy was like, oh, yeah, it's this brand. They are just known for breaking down. And he's like, I can replace the part, but I have to get it from China. And it's just going to break in 2 years anyway. And I'm like, well, hopefully we'll just get a new fridge after that. We're ready to break up with this fridge. But we've had over the years, we've had a lot of refrigerators break. Yeah.
So you just don't know how much you depend on it until it's not there anymore.
Agreed. Agreed. Which brings us to the next question. This is a good one. What non-essential service are you going to run to when the stay-at-home order is lifted?
So I'm going to go to a baseball game.
Oh,
that sounds fun.
So we really miss baseball, both my husband and I. And this week, the Kansas City Royals are replaying the ALCS series from 2014. And we've been watching every night, even though we know the outcome of the game and we kind of know what happens. But it's just one of the things that we really love to do together and to do together as a family, either around the TV or at the stadium. So we really miss baseball.
There's something ritualistic and brings back the normal, I think, to watch it too. And so many, in this time where nothing is normal and everything's weird, even watching something that you've already seen before, just, it's that time of year, feels normal. So that makes sense.
So we had just kind of really great evenings over the last, I guess it's been 2 days now, just watching a baseball game together again. And, he's got his beer and I've got my LaCroix and a snack. And it's just, you're right, it feels normal. So that's the first thing I'll do.
Nice. I have a friend that I think her goal with her husband is to visit every baseball stadium in the United States, obviously, because, baseball. But I was like,
great goal.
Yeah. And so I watched, I think 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I watched my first baseball game in LA at the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers were playing the Angels, which I did not know that they were like rivals, but I was just like, oh, this is fun. And so, yeah, I totally get watching a baseball game. And I think that night at my hotel, Tommy Lasorda was in the I actually have an Instagram picture, but I was like,
in the hotel?
Yeah, he was in the hotel. And then I was like, I don't know Tommy Lasorda from baseball. I know Tommy Lasorda from like the diet drink, the Slim Fast drink.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you know what I mean? Do you remember those commercials?
I don't.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I don't remember him from baseball. Funny. I remember him from Slim Fast. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is a good one. Okay. This is a music question, Jackie. What secret jam do you that you don't want to admit, that you love, that you don't want to admit to?
Like, what's your secret song?
Yeah.
So, I have a couple, but I would admit to this, but people are always surprised because, so my youngest son plays keyboard in a heavy metal band, and we go and watch them and put our earplugs in and pretend to like it, but their new album, there's a song on their new album called Chemical,
Mhm.
The name of the album is The Act, and I love Chemical. And so what I do, so I think like a lot of people, I suffer from anxiety, and
Mhm.
so repetition is really soothing for me. And so I put on my iTunes with Chemical, and I just have it repeat over and over. And I turn it up so loud. So we have all single pane windows in this house. So the windows actually rattle. It's typically when my husband's not home, but I'll be working in the studio, and that song is really loud and repeats over and over and over again, and I love it. I thrive on it. It's just such a great song, and the lyrics are perfect. So I sing with it too, and dance and work all at the same time.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing to imagine, and I will have to look up that song because just imagine Jackie like full blast. The neighbors are like, well, there she goes again.
I know the neighbors can hear it, but I don't care. And so the name of the album is The Act, and the song is Chemical. The band is The Devil Wears Prada.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna look that up. That's really awesome.
So download Chemical. He'll make a couple of pennies, and he's not working right now, so he'll appreciate it.
What are you binge watching besides baseball? If you were watching anything.
So I have to tell you that most television really doesn't appeal to me because it's too violent. It's too intense, and especially now. And so for me, I'm watching The Big Bang Theory.
There's something about the
I
old
pretty much have
comedies
it.
for sure. It's not even that old.
I love it, and I almost have it memorized. So I'm watching The Big Bang Theory. But there isn't much on television right now that that I can watch and still feel healthy.
Have you watched the spinoff?
The
What is it? The Sheldon one?
Young Sheldon or something like
Yes.
that.
Have you watched?
Yeah, I watched a little bit of Young Sheldon. It's kind of fun, but there's nothing like The Big Bang Theory for a smart, witty, funny comedy.
I haven't. So, I've only seen
and like I said,
clips.
I watched.
I should try watching.
Oh my God,
I do love comedies.
I watched Carol Burnett. Like I said, I watched Carol Burnett. I also watched Laugh In a couple of weeks ago. I watched a couple of episodes of that. Honestly, I listen to a lot more music
than watching. That's understandable. That's understandable.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're almost done, Jackie. The hard questions are over. Okay. So we play this fun game. And we kind of like PG-13. It's called Shag, Marry, Kill. Have you played Shag, Marry, Kill? It's usually
no.
Okay, so you have to choose.
Isn't there another name for that game? Isn't there another
name for that?
Yes.
We had to clean it up, for the younger folks or the sensitive folks.
All right.
For the sensitive folks. We're calling it Shag, Marry, Kill, but if anybody knows what it is, it's F, Marry, Kill. Okay, so what would you marry, what would you kill, and what would you shag? Cookie, cake, and pie.
Oh,
who would you kill? I know. Who would you kill?
I think I'd kill cake.
Oh, okay. Now, who would you marry? Cookie or pie? Who could you live forever with? And that will, or who could you shag once? Oh, pie. Yes. Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I think pie would need to be the forever.
Okay.
And I could shag a cookie.
Yep. I'm the same way. That's my same selection as well, because cakes are definitely the most high maintenance of the bunch. as we know, they require refrigeration, which obviously isn't
Yes.
going to fit in your tiny fridge right now. So they're out. And then a pie you can enjoy.
And they're
both.
not mobile.
No, and a cookie, that's why a cookie's a good shag, because you can eat a cookie anywhere. And a pie.
Exactly. You can do it anywhere.
Anywhere. On a plane, on a train.
Exactly.
In a car.
And then with a fox. No,
Oh.
and then poor Dr. Seuss. And then pie can be both savory and sweet. So obviously you have the perfect marriage of,
And it can also be mobile. It can be portable.
A hand pie.
And it can be, I mean, have you seen the freaking Costco pies? How big they are?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, it can be tiny little pies. It can be gigantic pies. Yeah,
and I will say, like, I'm pretty picky about like store-bought baked goods. Like a bakery is a totally different story, like a little craft bakery. But the Costco apple pie is pretty darn good because they're using like real apples and not like the apple pie filling. And so I like, for a store-bought pie, I think that's pretty up there for me.
Well, yeah, and it's like $10, I think. Like, so it's
Is apple pie your favorite, Megan?
I judge a pie but based on flavor. So I would say apple pie is how I would judge like a bakery maybe, but I don't know if it's my favorite. I'm kind of a pie lover. I really like all flavors of pie. Yeah. I mean, fruit pies, baked pies, double crust pies, lemon meringue pies, key lime.
Oh, yeah. Shepherd's pies.
Mm-hmm. We're a big shepherd's pie and chicken pot pie family.
Yeah, us too.
Yeah. So
mashed potatoes.
Yeah. Like so a couple of my friends, we share our menu every 2 weeks. So we've been sharing our menu because sometimes you're like, oh gosh, what am I going to make? And one of the ones that we had on there was fish pie. And they're like, that sounds disgusting. But it's basically a shepherd's pie, but it's with fish and kind of a cream sauce. It's a Jamie Oliver recipe. So it's super British, but it's delicious. And
that sounds delicious.
I know. I highly recommend, even though most people are like fish pie.
I know.
But it's not like there's a fish head sticking out of it. It's mashed potatoes and deliciousness.
Okay, so our last question, and I don't know if Megan found a gram, but I did find a gram.
I did.
Oh, okay, good. Okay. So we dive deep into your Instagram account and we pull up a picture and we ask you to explain the gram. So Megan's going to share her screen.
Here's who I picked. This little fella.
Please explain this little fella.
And he's made a lot of appearances, but this is his
sitting
first.
Right over there. So this is Vashon. And he was made by, oh my gosh, in Australia. Why is her name going right out of my head? Who designs softies and
Jody?
Oh my
Jody
God. Yes,
Rick-Rack?
Jody Carlton. Thank you. Jody, Rick Rack. Jody Carlton. Oh my God. Seriously. So Jody was at Quilt Market and I didn't know she was there and I just kind of ran into her and we've been online friends for a long time and I just think her work is genius. Absolutely genius. And we kind of ran into each other in the aisle at Quilt Market and it was like, ah! And so I went to her booth and she had all these amazing softie designs and she was like, pick as many as you want. And I wasn't going to pick as many as I want because she was like, I don't want to put them in my suitcase and take them home and they're not selling. And so I picked Vashon just because I thought he was adorable. I think the mask is fabulous. Look at those pants. I mean, seriously, and who doesn't need a cape? So I thought Vashon was amazing. And then Jody picked out Little Red Riding Hood for me because she thought that was very Kansas.
That's funny. She's hilarious.
Pretty funny. And so Little Red Riding Hood has a little basket with little apples in it, or no, strawberries in it. And so I have Vashon and I have Little Red. And I used to take Vashon to events and take pictures of him there. But then my suitcases just started getting so full. But he's in my studio with me every day, watches me sew.
So he used to be a world traveler,
years.
but now he's retired maybe from.
He's retired now. He's a homebody, and
Yeah.
he just stays home with me. And and he's named after Vashon Island, right off of Seattle.
Seattle,
Yes.
So Katie and I used to go out to Island Quilter and teach out there, and so I named him Vashon after that.
We were just in Seattle last fall, and we were trying to work out if we could go. Sewtopia was there last fall, and we were like trying to work our hardest to get over to Island Quilter, but for the shop hop, and it was intense. It would have been like an 8 to 10 hour shop hop for the ladies, and there's
it's not easy.
No, I mean, and some ladies did go out there. They took the ferry, and we're so glad they did. But it was definitely it was tricky with a bus and a ferry and paying for it. It was just weird. It's hard to get over there. I've wanted to go to Island Quilter for sure. Like,
I get that.
Yeah.
But I have really good memories of Island Quilter and Vashon Island, and so he's part of that memory.
I don't know if Megan, I emailed you my gram.
Okay, let me look. Hold on. Stand by.
Okay, and it kind of goes back, like usually at the beginning of the show, you kind of go like explaining it's Sewtopia and Friends, and so I've asked my friends like in the industry to be on the show, and and Jackie, I asked you, and you're like, yes, let's do it, and I don't remember how we met. I don't remember if we met.
I do.
Do you? Okay, please tell me, because I'm like.
No, I honestly, I don't remember, but do you remember the elevator thing?
Yes, I do remember the elevator thing. I do. Okay, so Jackie, so I started following Jackie probably, it's been 10 years, Jackie. It's been 10 years since I've been quilting, which is crazy. And it was, we had the episode prior to this was Melody Miller, and she was like, holy cow. She realized it at the same time too. It's like, we've been in this industry 10 years, or we've been in this crafting hobby for 10 years. And so I think I started following your blog, Tall Grass Prairie Studios. Am I saying it all right? Yeah.
Yep. Tall Grass Prairie Studio.
Yeah, and so I started following that, and then I don't think your book came next. I think we met when we were on the Modern Quilt Guild board, but I don't know. No.
So I don't know. I don't know
either.
I mean, that book came out in late 2012.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
I know when I met Jackie, but I know when I saw Jackie for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Is when I decided to get out of my house, and the two twins that were climbing all over me and take a risk for me was joining the Modern Quilt Guild. So I joined the Portland Modern Quilt Guild, and the very first meeting I went to was the one where Jackie was speaking. Which was during Quilt Market in Portland, and that was the very first time that's
right.
I saw Jackie and heard of her quilts and everything, because I was still pretty new to the game. I'd been quilting for a long time and sewing, but modern quilts were like a whole new genre for me.
I was new to the game.
Yes.
Right?
We were all new to the game.
And then, but then of course I met Jackie at my first QuiltCon when I was on crew for the first time, which probably was in 2015. I think.
Right. So, okay. So going back to the elevator story. Okay. I'm pretty sure it was at QuiltCon. Maybe. I'm not remembering. Maybe it was a market. But me and Jackie.
It was market.
It was market? Okay. So me and Jackie would talk, but we were riding the elevator, right? But we never wanted our conversation to end. So we kept on going. We kept on pushing buttons, going up and down. and down. And Jackie was just like, it was so funny because people come in and maybe they come in again and they're like, they're still in the elevator.
There's
Oh, that's so funny.
we had so much fun.
Yeah,
We had so much fun.
we did have so much fun. So, Megan, please bring
Share
up
them.
that gram.
All right.
So Jackie, we've known each other for a long time.
Look at that.
Explain this gram, ma'am.
From 2013.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Look at us. I mean, so.
And look at the picture quality. Like this is like, you know, cell phones in 2013 where it's like, whoo.
So I'll explain a little bit of this gram.
You know, I think back at that first QuiltCon and I wonder how we even did it. I mean, I remember being at Heather's house, filling the goodie bags, and Heather told us it was on the Monday before QuiltCon, and we had already been working all weekend, probably, I don't know, 20-hour days. And she said, come to my house after we had worked all day Monday. Come to my house and you'll get free tacos and you can help stuff goodie bags. And so, well, tacos ran out, so I don't think I got one. But we literally walked around tables from 5 o'clock in the afternoon to, I don't know, 2, 3 in the morning, round and round and round and round. And there were tables out in her front yard and tables in the backyard. She literally moved furniture out of her house so that we could stuff goodie bags. And there were Austin Guild members that came to help, but they all left around 10. We just kept walking around the circle. And every company that had more than one thing, like there were some companies that had like 5 pieces of paper. And we swore that we would never buy from these companies.
They're on the bamboo.
Because we had to touch so many. But this tiny little crew, you know, and the volunteers put on that first show. And the fact that it actually happened is amazing. And the memories from that first show, actually from all the shows. And so the fact that we could all sit upright then is kind of
it was a major feat and undertaking for such a small crew to put on such a huge event. I wasn't at the first QuiltCon.
It was. I came in. Jackie, do you remember how many days you were there? Like 2 weeks, right? Am I right that you were there for 2 weeks?
Probably 10 days.
10
days.
Okay,
yeah.
So 10 days. And I could only request, like, I was only there for 5 days, but I took 7 days off, or like I had the 2 weekend days. And so I remember flying in and doing and welcoming instructors and doing the money side and all that fun stuff, right? Like nothing has like
the chiclets, right?
Yeah. And nothing like, you know, if you look at this picture, nothing says like, holy crap, we put on this crazy show. I don't even remember the number of attendees that year. And now it has grown.
I don't remember.
It has grown to be like such a great event that the Modern Quilt Guild does. So it's funny but I flew out before this picture was taken, and I was like, oh, yeah. Look at how.
I mean, the tiny little crew we had, and it was, and you know, there was like, now there's this big, huge notebook with all these procedures, right, Megan? I mean, you know,
it gets smoother every year.
Know a lot, right? And this, I mean, right, Amy? We just didn't know anything.
We were flying.
Everything was a surprise, and
yeah,
it was seat of our pants, and oh my God! But totally fun. I mean, look at those faces. So it's a great memory.
Well, and I do know, like, I wish I could have been at the 2013 event, but that was, again, kind of before I was really back into the modern quilting world. But I think of like 2015, you know, it was exhausting being on crew. It's really long hours, and it's gotten smoother, and it's still hard work, but it's gotten easier each year. And so you kind of think of like when someone new comes on and you're like, oh, well, you should have seen 2015 or 2013, the stuff of legends. And I just remember one little story from the 2015 year was another crew member was there, and it was their first time there as well, or first time on crew. And she had worked herself to such exhaustion that she ended up throwing up in a garbage can. And the girl she's with, she's like, don't tell the others. I don't want them to think that I'm weak, you know? Just, it was like, bless her heart. That's just the funniest and sweetest thing ever.